Welcome to Archive West Texas. I'm your host, Gordon Wilkerson. Today we're concluding a three-part conversation with Marc McDougal. In our first episode, we talked about the remarkable legacy of his parents, Delbert and Carolyn, and the growth of one of Lubbock's most successful development companies. In our second episode, we talked about Marc's service to the city as a councilman and also as mayor and the development of Overton. Today, we're going to talk about another chapter in the McDougal family's impact on our community, the revitalization of downtown Lubbock. We'll talk about the vision behind downtown redevelopment, the restoration of the historic Pioneer Hotel, and Marc's thoughts about the future of our city. Marc, welcome back to Archive West Texas.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
When did you first become interested in downtown redevelopment?
Well, we got Dad, actually, as we kind of wrapped up Overton, was hired as master developer for downtown. And I can't remember what year that was. But we sold all of our apartments in 2018. We already had some property downtown, but Mont and I decided to get more aggressive in the downtown area. Obviously, we'd already opened up the Pioneer Pocket Hotel. That was all going great. We had just purchased we only owned 25% of the old Wells Fargo building. During that time, we bought our partners out, so we now have that building. And then we bought, I don't even know I could sit here and list everything we own downtown, but the majority, after we sold the apartments, the majority of our land holdings were in downtown. And so that's what triggered us to move our corporate office down here. We've opened up a couple of restaurants and a bar down here and still, doing quite a bit of renovation on older buildings downtown. But 8 years ago, the vast majority of our holdings were downtown. Now, since then, we've spread back out again. Land development in North Lubbock, we've got a 1,100 acre development we're doing out there. Again, that one is also an LISD school district. We're kind of proud of that. Not a lot of new developments going up in LISD school district. And then we've got into a lot of industrial and warehouse holdings.
What is it about a downtown and a community like Lubbock that's still key and pivotal to the community?
I think I don't care where you're at. And if you don't have a bustling, busy downtown area, you usually see cities that are dying. You look at what they've done in Fort Worth or even downtown Dallas. After 2000 and especially after the financial markets crashed in 07, 08, downtown Dallas was dead and everything went outside of there. But go down there today. I'll be down there tomorrow. It's hopping again. You've got to have a thriving downtown Lubbock. And that's one reason I think what the council is tackling today and expanding and renovating our current civic center is so important, because what we have today is the world's largest community center. We don't get conventions like we used to get. And we've got a great spot for it. We got Marshall Sharp Freeway. We've got I-27. Access is easy. So, that's kind of been what we've worked on the last several years, is just slowly but surely making progress in downtown. The Pickerings came in on East Broadway inside, just west of I-27, did a great job with the block they've done through there. They're not the only ones. There's other stories of folks that have come in and redeveloped. George Hardberger has been really active in downtown. I mean, there's a number. It's not just us. There's a number of different people doing that. Dan Williams is another one. We just think the return on investment and the city needs a thriving downtown. I know there was a lot of pushback on both Glenn Robertson and Mayor Pope when Dan was mayor on what we now call our new Citizens Tower. That is actually a building that we looked at when I was mayor because we were out of room at the old city hall. And I know they got a lot of backlash for doing that project that we didn't need. But I can tell you, outside developers, when they see the city make that type of investment, then they want to be here as well. And of course, now we've got South Plains College that's in the old city hall. Drive by there, those two parking lots are packed. And older students, but students and a lot of younger students that want to get into tech, but you just got to have an active downtown.
Let's talk about the Civic Center. That's been a topic many times on our program. Of course, the genesis of that was this 1970 tornado that basically obliterated that neighborhood. And a lot of discussion about how the community came together, passed the bond election to allow for that construction. Built mid-70s, finished. So it's pushing
50 years.
50 years. Talk about what a community our size needs in a civic center today that we don't have.
Well, everything. I mean, what we have today just doesn't service what we need. You've got, I may be a little off on the numbers, but we've got less than 50,000 feet of banquet space. Our exhibit space is just antiquated. It's, I mean, gun and knife shows. I mean, that's what we get. We get the, holiday happening, great event for our community. But outside of those, that's about as big as you can get. So we need bigger event space and meeting space. Our meeting space it was probably great in 1970, but we don't have the technology over there. We don't have the breakout rooms they need. We've got the atrium area is great. And what the city is wanting to do, and I think you will see that now that we have the PFZ from the state and the funding mechanism, but what a great place for gatherings, for conventions, either post or banquets, but we just need the space for more banquets. We just can't seat them. We don't have the ability to attract people to come to Lubbock for hotel nights, eat at our restaurants, retail, going and buying tech gear. We just don't have that. I'd be surprised if we still have cotton ginners come in. What's there, maybe 5 or 6 true conventions that come here? But it's mostly because of the ag industry. You just don't get a lot outside of that.
So does this involve renovating the current space, or do we need to tear down portions of it? Or
no, what the city's plan is to renovate, build a new, I think it's about 100,000 square feet. It may be a little bit bigger than that. Exhibit space, convert the old exhibit space into banquet space, and then redo the meeting rooms. The atrium area I talked about, putting a top on that where you could have happy hour events or dinner events or weddings or whatever in there, but make it more of a convention center. They don't have that number yet. There is a financing mechanism that we have. We've got about 5 years to get started on that, or be done with that project, or we lose that money. None of that money comes from City of Lubbock. It's all hot tax.
Hot tax being hotel occupancy
occupancy tax, food and beverage tax that now goes to the state that has been dedicated to come back here. Dustin Burrows, Carl Tepper, and Senator Perry we got the only one in the last session. The rest of them were turned down. As a matter of fact, the governor wouldn't even sign the bill, but he let it sit on his desk and didn't veto it. So we've got a funding mechanism. There is going to need to be more funds raised, but the council's committed not to having any public funds in it. None of our tax money going to it.
How will the creation of a park downtown change the complexion of the area?
Well, we now have, like our building, 208,000 feet, 15-story building. When we got involved in that, we were about 40% occupied. It's full. Pioneer stays full. You've got the Metro Tower now. I don't know what their occupancy is. You've got another one that just opened up behind it. Folks need a place to go walk a dog, a place to go sit and have lunch on a day like today. Not tomorrow, maybe not at 107, but today, yesterday, been a great day to go sit down at the park. I know Brad Moran's very involved in that. They've got that funded and construction's underway. So hopefully in the next 12 months, we'll see that I call it a little pocket park. It's not like a 200-acre park, but a place for folks that live and work downtown to go just get some sunlight.
Thank you. Mark, you mentioned previously that when your dad said he was going to do the redevelopment over in Overton, that you thought he was crazy. What did you think when he came in and said, I just bought the Pioneer Hotel? The
Pioneer was a different deal. That, again, a lot of projects we worked on have been fun. That one is, Overton was obviously the best one. That was, I think Western Bank had that. And so it was a foreclosure. But that's what we were doing, renovating stuff. We'd done it before, but the Pioneer brought it to a new level because if you remember correctly, after we bought it and started the renovation, we stopped for about 3 or 4 years because there was stuff we were finding. The cost was just getting higher and higher and higher.
I think I remember having a conversation with your dad and he said, I didn't know this, but every window in that thing was
a different size. So 1925, when it was built, the windows were built on site. So when we're putting new windows in, we found out real quick, and that was another reason it stopped for a while. All the windows over there, every one of them, or I'm going to say new, they're now 15 years old or 12, whatever it is. Every one of them had to be built on site again because they're all different sizes. And then that creates problems that we have today. You can't just order a regular mini blind or shades. Everything has to be custom built. So it took a good 10 years from the time we bought it to get that up and running. We had the third floor, which is now the Pioneer Pocket Hotel. What we'd wanted to do was office there, but when we converted it from the old chiller system to HVAC, to heating and air units, they're all on that second floor mezzanine roof. So your view is looking out at a graveyard of air conditioners. And so we came up with the concept to build an all-suite hotel. There's 10 rooms up there. And we did the all-suites in case we need to convert that into efficiency apartments. But the hotel's been great. I mean, that's only our first foot in the door in the hotel business, but I've really enjoyed that. Tiffany has ran that since it opened, does a great job with it. And that is her project. She will tell you that. She takes care of that like it's hers and knows all the tenants. We have 38 condos. And when we call them condos, we rent them like apartments, but they're as nice as homes you live in. Nicer than the one I live in, the finish out is. Those stay full all the time, waiting list. But when we got finished with the condos, we had not done anything on the first floor. And we convinced Cameron West to come in and take a chance on downtown. He got a pretty good sweetheart deal in his first 10 years on his lease. But literally the day he opened that West table, we leased the units above. Nobody wants to walk in a vacant building. And of course, now he's got the brew pub in there, and then he's got that other little area. He used to have the breakfast coffee shop. He now uses that for private dining. What is today? Tuesday. I think Tuesday and Thursdays, the lobby's full of ladies playing Mahjong. I love it on big weekends when Cameron moves tables out and serves dinner out in the lobby area, and you've got somebody pulling their suitcase through, going to the hotel. And it's just it's been a really cool project to work on, and it's going really well.
What's the history on that? Who built that originally?
I want to say, was there a W. something McMillan? He was involved in that. W.G. McMillan. Yeah. He was involved in that project. It was first built it's 11 floors now. It was first built as 6. So the 6th floor and the 11th floor that we have today are both real high ceilings. So it was built as a 6-story hotel, original hotel in Lubbock. And then in the 50s, maybe it was added on to 11 floors and then became a retirement center. And I don't know what all it was through the years.
Homer Maxey owned it at one point.
I think that's right. Yeah.
What's your greatest satisfaction in that project?
The Pocket Hotel, I think. And, well, I guess the first one would be getting West Table down there. Now, that was a feat to talk a young man that was wanting to move back home and talk him into coming downtown because, as we talked about, everything goes southwest. And he could have done that. But Cameron and Rachel have built a great business there, expanded it with the brew pub. And, of course, now they've got, I don't know how many, they've got Dirk's downtown. They've got F&B restaurant out in South Lubbock and another place to build another Dirk's. But their start was down here. And so really proud that we were able to sell them on taking a chance on downtown and us. Yeah. But then the Pocket Hotel right behind that, because that's really, really a fun project to have. And matter of fact, working on that this morning.
What drew you to the restaurant business and now the golf business?
Well, in the restaurant business, I am a sucker for seafood. And so I got involved in, at the time, what we call Las Brisas Seafood out in South Lubbock in Kingsgate. And breaking news for everybody, nobody comes to Lubbock to eat seafood. So that didn't work out so well.
So Las Brisas was a seafood place before it was a steakhouse?
No.
Okay.
Las Brisas Steakhouse was different. And then we opened up a seafood restaurant. And I wasn't involved in Brisas at the time.
I got to get out more.
But anyway, that's how I got in the food business. When I took all the partners out, which then included Las Brisas Steakhouse, what everybody knows now was Table 82. We also had some Nuke's eateries around the state. When I took all those over, took all the partners out, 3 days later we had COVID. So
wow.
Now I will say this. I think COVID saved my rear end because it gave me a couple of months to figure out what was going on. May 1 of 2020, I hired Buddy Beach. And, of course, if you know Buddy, and everybody knows Buddy, and ESPN knows Buddy, and Game Day knows Buddy. Buddy's been a great partner. He's our operating partner, and he runs all the restaurants. We got an opportunity earlier this year to take a look at the old Four Golf or Golf Suites. I was against that. I said, no way, I'm not doing it. And they talked me into at least looking at the numbers, and we think that's going to be a really, really good project, not only for us, but for Lubbock. And we need an entertainment venue. And it's not been marketed well. We've got a lot of upgrades we're going to do out there, and hoping to have our new re-grand. It's open now, but hoping to have our new re-grand opening sometime in September. All new TVs, all new golf clubs, all new golf balls, complete new marketing plan. We're doing a several $1 million upgrade out there to make that more of a corporate place for families, a place for date night. We're going to bring not all, but a lot of the Table 82 menu out there and convert that. They've got a great restaurant space, but we're going to convert that to where you will go out there at night for dinner or lunch. And so we're real excited about it.
Mark, we've talked about your family history. We've talked about the Overton project. We've talked about politics and being mayor, and water projects, downtown, Pioneer Hotel, restaurants, golf. When you think about the community that you grew up in and that you served as mayor in the early 2000s and where we are today, what are you most proud of that's changed, and what do you see for the future here?
Man, there's a lot. I mean, the sky's the limit on the future here. But, you know, our highway infrastructure, I think we talked earlier, one of the other episodes about, you know, we've got the Marsh Sharp Freeway, you've got the interstate, we've got the loop. We're in the process of building an outer loop. We can get anywhere we want in 12 minutes in Lubbock. I live in South Lubbock. I live in far South Lubbock. It takes me right at 12 to 15 minutes to get downtown. You can get anywhere you want in 15 or 20 minutes. We complain of the traffic sometimes at 5 o'clock, but I'm going to be in Dallas tomorrow. I can assure you I will be cussing the traffic in Dallas tomorrow, not complaining about it. You know, our city leaders, as far back as you can go, you know, came up with the idea of donating some land for some college that we now know is Texas Tech. I mean, where would we be without tech? But from road infrastructure to our water, all the services that we need, we've got the greatest police and fire and public service anywhere, in my opinion. It's just a great place to be. And it doesn't take an hour to get anywhere. I mean, heck, in an hour, we can be in Amarillo. And we joke at a Rangers game several years ago, we flew back to Lubbock. I was pulling in my garage. A buddy of mine that left the parking lot at the same time I did was about 30 minutes from home, and he lived in North Dallas. I mean, heck, we'd flown back to Lubbock, and I was almost home. You can fly to Dallas and go to work if you want to, and a lot of people do that. Just a great place to be. You know, the leaders we've had in all of our elected officials through the years have been great and visionaries. And then we've got a lot of leaders like your dad, my dad, that didn't get into politics, but had the vision so that we can do what we're doing today.
True. What challenges do you see out there? What concerns you?
You know, the technology and the changing landscape of that, just like we talked about earlier with cell phones. And, you know, now you've got AI where you pull up to a drive-through window and you're talking to a computer to make your order. You know, everything changes, and either you're going to change with it or you're going to get left behind. And Lubbock's always figured out a way to change with the times, and I don't have any doubt that we'll continue to do that.
What do you think downtown looks like 20 years from now?
Man, I hope downtown 20 years from now looks like, we are downtown, so I'm kind of looking back over the Civic Center. You just got people walking everywhere, more hotels down here, more restaurants that we can walk to eat. The way they've designed, the proposed design for the new Civic Center faces it more to the south than the north, which makes it more walkable down to Broadway over to where we're at today on the east side of the Civic Center. I think you're going to see a downtown that has more housing, more people living down here, more hotels, just more activity and more things to do right here in this 1 mile square area from 19th to Marshall Sharp.
What do you think your dad would say about Lubbock's future?
You know, you talk about the eternal optimist. That was Dad. You know, I think he would say something similar to what I just said. He might even add in there that Texas Tech's at 100,000 students. Who knows? But, you know, we talked a lot in the last couple of weeks about our visionaries, and we've named a lot of names, and I'm sure we left a bunch of them out. I know you had Joe McKay on the show, and Joe's certainly one of those. but all the guys that were behind the scenes through the years that built Lubbock, and the fact that when we have a crisis, everybody pulls together, and I'm sure every city says that, but we have that here, and we have the work ethic here. It's just a great place to raise a family.
That it is. The McDougal family's played such an important role in shaping modern Lubbock. How do you view that legacy?
Well, I think it's a responsibility. You've got to continue. And, I will say this. I think our family gets a lot of credit where maybe we don't deserve all that credit, the way I look at it. But you just got to keep your nose to the ground and keep moving forward and keep thinking outside the box. And, who would have ever thought 20 years ago, I can guarantee you should ask my mom when she was on the show if she would have thought she'd ever own a bar. She might have killed me 20 years ago if I'd have told her we'd own a bar. But getting in the hospitality business, not only the hotel, but food and beverage, just opportunities that came up that we saw a need, and kind of like with what we're going to do with Double T Golf and make that a true entertainment destination location, not just for people in Lubbock, but all over West Texas.
As we're winding up here, we ask our guests if they have any words of wisdom to share with our listeners.
Well, that's a tough one. Words of wisdom.
Well, take it on like what your dad might say first, and then you can think about what you would say.
Well, we talked about change. Don't ever be afraid of change. Change is coming. We don't all know what that is or what it looks like, and there's nothing wrong with being a little apprehensive of change, but we've got to change with the times if we want to continue to grow, keep our taxes low. I can name you a ton of communities in our area that have taxes a lot higher than ours, but they also have no growth. And if we want to keep our taxes low, we got to have growth, and we've got to be willing to adapt to change.
There you go. Anything I should have asked that I didn't?
A good episode down the road might be talking about all the debates going on around AI centers, but that's another change that is coming.
And it's here.
No, it's here. Now, do we want it here or not? That's for maybe another episode.
True.
John Osborne would be a good one to get on.
All right. We'll put that on our list. Mark, thank you for taking time today to share the family story, and thank you. I think I speak for the broader community saying thanks to you and your family for your many contributions to the Lubbock community.
Well, I appreciate that, but let me just say this and wrapping up. And I know you guys don't hear it enough, but the Wilkerson family has meant a lot to this community as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks again for taking time to share your story with us. Appreciate each of you listening. Please join us again next week for another episode of Archive West Texas.